I'm going to share with you how to sleep better and wake happier. Ready? I'm going to do it right now. Here it goes. Did you see it? If you're listening, all I did was smile. When you and I smile, physiologically, something happens, right? Try it right now. I just want to share this point with you. I want you to smile, put a smile on your face, whether you're driving or you're sitting listening to me or watching. Just put a smile on your face, really big, and try to be angry. So smile and try to be angry. Smile and try to feel sad. You can't do it. Physiologically, you and I cannot experience two emotions at the same time. It's like physics, where no two objects can occupy the exact same space at the exact same time. When I learned this, I said, my God, it's so simple. That's what I love about being healthy, about being tapping into your best self, being a great leader professionally and in your personal life. So many of the solutions are so simple. We've either just forgotten about it or our lives have changed so much over the last how many years that we're not connected to the basic simple things. Sometimes you need a reminder. Sometimes you need a little bit of science to tell you physiologically what happens. Let me just go down this list. What happens when you and I smile to show you how powerful it is. We release neurotransmitters, serotonin, norepinephrine, dopamine. Those are feel good chemicals. Those are the chemicals that are in antidepressants. If you go to a doctor and you say you're depressed, they might put you on an antidepressant. You and I release neurotransmitters, feel good chemicals, every time we smile. A decrease in cortisol, which is the stress hormone. You know, cortisol is related to us gaining weight, especially around the midsection. Pain relief. When you smile more, you experience less pain because your body is releasing endorphins, also those neurotransmitters, those feel good chemicals. That's incredible. Lower blood pressure. So if you're trying to sleep and your heart's racing, if you smile, take a deep breath, you can literally lower your blood pressure. Maybe take you out of that anxiety loop, that fight or flight loop. I'll talk about that in a second. And increased positivity, like that's the no-brainer, of course, just by smiling. So I want to share something personal and why I'm sharing this with you. I have trouble sleeping often. Sometimes I go through spurts where I sleep right through the night. That's awesome, but it's also sometimes like, oh man, it's morning already, because I get up very early in the morning. It's just my routine, whether I have to drive my son to work or I'm going to do a workout or I'm going to work. A lot of the times I will wake up 3, 4, 5, 6 times in an evening or at night when I'm trying to sleep. And a lot of those times, I'll be honest with you, I could feel panic, I could feel worry because I'm lying in bed. It's dark. It's almost like I feel vulnerable. Like, and then all of a sudden something hits me like I have to help my daughter pay for college, or I got to make sure that this is paid for. For me, a lot of the times it's financial, especially after these last 4 years. I'll be honest with you, my income has been affected, maybe perhaps like yours. But I can worry about other things too. But that's mostly my focus. So I hate that feeling, and it's hard to go back to sleep. So if I just lie very comfortably, I try to relax my muscles. As a physical therapist, I know if I'm tense, if I'm driving, if I'm lying in bed, if I'm trying to relax and I'm tense, there's no way that I could relax. My heart rate is not going to decrease. My muscles are going to increase because my body thinks I'm getting ready for something, like that fight or flight mode. So I lie in bed. So I open my eyes. I might have intrusive thoughts, ruminating thoughts, obsessive thoughts, thoughts that aren't good in the middle of the night that I'm trying to sleep. So I'll lie there, I'll take a deep breath in, and I'll put a smile. It doesn't even have to be a huge smile. It's really, I've posted about this before, it could be a smirk. As long as your mouth is going up instead of down. It's going up just a little bit. So a little bit of a smirk because you're sleeping, you're trying to relax yourself. You're not trying to wake yourself up completely. And so you put that little bit of a smile, you take a deep breath, and hopefully that's enough to get you to lower that heart rate, to release those feel good chemicals, all those benefits that we said, and you'll fall back to sleep. If you still don't fall back to sleep, Something else I do that's easy if you're sleeping by yourself, it's very easy to do. Let me tell you what it is first, and then I'll share some of the strategies for doing it. I have an audiobook. The one that I'm particularly listening to now is called All Creatures Great and Small. You might have heard from it. It's one of the best-selling book series of all time. It's about a veterinarian in the Yorkshire Dales in England who tends to animals and has these really fascinating, fun, and beautiful descriptions of the English countryside, the interactions that he has with people. Most of it is about helping animals. He's an animal lover, so if you're an animal lover. The point I'm making is I'm listening to an audiobook that's calming, that's relaxing, that's witty, that's not stressful, that's not controversial, that's not war-based, that's not going to elicit in me anything that's upsetting or worrying or trigger my own worries about something. It's really just focusing on his voice. He has a Scottish accent, so it's different. It's very interesting. And I literally listen as I'm lying there on my side, listening to his words. What is he saying? Because I don't know about you, I'm not a Buddhist monk. I have tried to meditate for years. I've had some success with it. It is impossible for me, and I'm not saying you have to do this to meditate. I cannot completely silence my brain. I don't know that it's possible, but I'm not a meditation expert. But I know that I can direct my brain. I've trained myself to do that. And by listening to this audiobook at night, I can direct my brain to listen. And if I'm listening, again, I can't be doing two things at once. If I'm listening, then I'm not entertaining these obtrusive thoughts that might be upsetting me and keeping me awake. So I put it on. I have my iPhone. Look, I don't know if this is the healthiest thing, but it helps me sleep. So there's trade-offs with all these things. I've heard turn off all the blue lights in your bedroom, right? Turn your phone off, turn your TV off, turn every electronic off. I get that. But I've been used to keeping my phone on, God forbid, if any of my children need me. I know, but I've had two daughters in college. One of them has graduated, one is still away at college, and my son is not with me very often, so I just keep my phone on. Anyway, I put it on low enough or high enough, the volume, so I could hear it, but low enough that I'm not getting jarred by it. And I set a 20-minute timer, and 100% of the time, let me repeat that, 100% of the time, I fall asleep. That doesn't mean I'm not going to wake up an hour later or 3 hours later, but I'm able to fall back asleep when a lot of my clients and my audience members tell me, once they're up, they're up. It's 3 a.m. and they're going to bake a cake, do laundry, start painting, because they know they're not going back to sleep. And it's very, very difficult to function at your best capacity if you're not sleeping, getting enough sleep, right? We know that at this point. So number one is smile. Number two is put on an audiobook. If you're sleeping with a partner, a spouse, maybe you have earphones. Maybe I don't really totally recommend AirPods, but sometimes you have to weigh the balance between something being harmful for you, if these AirPods are really doing any harm, versus, hey, I just got to get a night's sleep, right? So I've been known to do that. And hopefully you'll fall back to sleep. The other thing I recommend you do is the vagus nerve exercise before you go to bed. If you're having trouble sleeping and you're waking up often, especially if you're anxious, you have anxiety, you're worried, you're not alone, by the way. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not alone. It's very, very common. Is do the vagus nerve exercise. I'm going to send a link or attach somehow a link to this. I've been talking about this for the past 4 years. It's a simple exercise. You put your hands behind your neck. For 60 seconds, you turn your eyes to one side, then 60 seconds, turn to the other side. It activates the vagus nerve. Part of the work of the vagus nerve is to put you in the parasympathetic nervous system, where you are, I think it's the parasympathetic. I always get confused between the two. It's the one where your heart rate gets calmed down, similar to when you're smiling. Blood pressure lowers, heart rate calms down, less cortisol is being released, and it gets you out of the fight or flight mode. Because once you're in it, once you're feeling anxious, it's illogical. You can't always, I observed this with my children, I've shared this with you before, and myself, you can't logically say, hey, I'm okay, everything is going to work out. because you're stuck in this fight or flight loop. You literally think, your brain thinks, your mind thinks it's fighting for its life, and it's not going to listen to something like, hey, you're fine, you're perfectly safe, everything is going to be okay. So sometimes you need the vagus nerve exercise to get you back into that relaxation place so that some of these strategies work better as well. And I recommend you do that before you go to bed. I've done it in the middle of the night too. I wake up in the middle of the night, and I'll send you the link again, or give you the link where I show you how to do this exercise. You're lying in bed, and literally put your hands behind your neck and follow the directions, and it will get your brain back online and get you to relax and calm down. And then you could smile, and then you could put your audiobook on, or direct your thoughts to something you love, someone you love, a place that you love, and you'll calm down and relax enough and hopefully fall back to sleep. The last thing I want to share with you is be mindful of the media that you're consuming before you go to bed, whether it's a book or you're scrolling on social media, you're watching something on Netflix. I have someone very close to me in my life, I won't say who they are, that was falling to sleep to Walking Dead. And she was wondering why she was having nightmares. I mean, I think she knew. She's a very smart girl. Why she was having nightmares in the middle of the night, because she was falling to sleep to Walking Dead. It's not a, if you know it, it's not a relaxing, feel-good kind of thing. So I really, really encourage you, at some point, turn the social media off. You know, that's why I love reading. That's why I love reading about things like All Creatures Great and Small. I have them here. I wanted to show it to you actually. So this is James Herriot, is the author of All Creatures Great and Small. It's been around since the 70s, I think, and one of the best-selling authors of all time. And he's just writing about great stuff that's positive, and I love that. I love that people are it affects people. Another one of my favorite books is A Year in Provence. So I will read this at night sometimes if I'm waking up or before I go to bed, because it takes place in a place that I would love to visit, maybe live part of the time, the south of France. And he talks about food. I'm a foodie. I love food. He talks about neighbors. He talks about making wine. He talks about going to the markets and buying fresh bread and fresh vegetables, and talking to the fishmonger and the boulanger, if that's the word, the people that are at these stalls. It's just so fascinating to me, and it takes my mind somewhere that's better than it might go if it's not directed. You know what I'm saying? So find something you're interested in regarding a book or media. You could even read on your device. And I know ideally you don't want to be on your device, but let's be honest, most of us are before we go to bed, or a lot of us are. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not judging you at all, but I'm not going to say what you're doing. I will be on my phone right before I turn it off, or put it on my nightstand before I pick up a book. But I will try to look at social media. I'm not always perfect at this, I'll be honest with you. That is a recipe, or takes place somewhere beautiful like Greece or the south of France, or places that I want to visit, places that I have visited. I want my mind to go somewhere where it's positive, obviously. That is, for me, it doesn't get me riled up. It doesn't get me like, I will not read about leadership. The things that I do, I won't read about before I go to bed. I won't read about leadership. I won't read about what's new in nutrition. I won't read about what's new in exercise. You know why? It's going to get me riled up, and not in a bad way. It's going to get my juices flowing. My mind's going to start thinking, oh, I could do this. I could add this to my next seminar. The other thing, so that gets me out of this relaxation mode, and that gets me like passionate, which is good, but not right before I'm going to sleep. I was just going to say something else about that too. The other thing that it could lead me to is if I'm scrolling about anything, leadership, nutrition, exercise, motivation, I can see other professionals that look more successful than I am, have more followers than I am, are New York Times bestsellers, are doing TED Talks, and then I can feel bad about myself. And that doesn't make any kind of sense before I go to bed, to feel bad about myself because I'm not as good as these people. And that's not true. You and I are exactly where we should be at this particular moment. And if we could reframe and embrace that and learn the lessons that we're learning because we're in the certain place that we are right now, we're going to benefit tremendously. Okay, so those are some of my strategies for sleeping. The other thing, I told you that was the last thing, the media, but the other thing is be careful of what you're eating right before you go to bed. You don't want to eat anything that you can't digest. Foods that are most difficult to digest are foods that are not in their natural or whole state. Animal protein, vegetables, fruit, beans, different. Think about a food that you can look at and you recognize what it is. That's a chicken breast, that's a carrot. If you and I are eating foods that have been processed, that have been altered from their natural state, there is a good chance the process of getting them into that altered state and then the additives and the ingredients that are added so that they have a better shelf life, so they taste better, they have better color, they don't get mold. A lot of those ingredients, seed oils, soy lecithin is in almost everything. Any antibiotics, hormones, preservatives, GMOs, all of those ingredients, food processes have the potential to create inflammation. Inflammation is going to get your heart rate up. It's going to affect your digestion. The gut is the second brain, right? The gut is now acknowledged as a second brain and might even have more neurotransmitters than the original brain. So we got to start paying attention to that if you're not doing that already. And no wonder why now you're getting in anxiety mode. It might just be from the food that you're eating before you go to bed, affecting your sleep, not either letting you fall asleep or making you wake up. If you do finally get yourself to fall asleep, that you're waking up multiple times. Okay. I hope that those things are helpful to you. I would love, if this makes sense to you, reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. Besides helping you sleep better, what I love to do with my clients, my life coaching and health coaching clients, is help them tap into their best self through focus, food, and fitness. Those three things. And I see people doing some of those three things. Some people are eating healthy. Some people might be exercising. Some people might be connected to what their purpose is. But very often, the clients that I work with, they're not doing all three. And they're just missing one piece of that puzzle. Working with a coach can help you do that. Also, if there's an opportunity to speak to your company or to your school district about these topics that are fun, engaging, exciting, reach out to me. Let's start that conversation. There's no obligation. It's just a conversation, putting it out to the universe and see what good we can do together. Until next time, I'm Peter.